Ross, you've been talking about this for a couple months. We've been on the phone together, emails. I've been watching all your posts. I'm pretty excited to be here with you.
Carter, man, it's an honor to have you out on the boat. It's just, you know, kind of a fishing legend to me, and I feel privileged to have you out. I'm glad that we have such an exciting fishery down here in Southwest Florida. We're night fishing bridges. Right now we've actually got a crab flush going on. We're here in the backside of the full moon in May, and on these large outgoing tides it's triggering a massive flush of crabs and shrimp, which basically stack these tarpon up and kind of get a feeding frenzy going on. Right now we're at slack tide. Should start dumping out here in a bit.
But this hoagie doesn't look much like a crab or a...
You know what? They've got all those nice little things floating by, but something big gets noticed, you know, kind of stands out. And you got to have a good hook to hold on to these big fish. And those Hogy Barbarian jigs are the ticket for jigging these fish up. So we're going to approach this light over here. Slack tide. We're just, you know, normal light fishing. We're going to work the dark edge, let the bait kind of swing in to the light line. I usually let it sink about a 6 count and then begin just a rapid 2 twitch retrieve. 1 second pause and just kind of hang on. And how we're fishing now, we're still on slack tide. And I always talk to people and tell them, you know, the proper way to fish these soft baits. You always want to swing them with the current. It's super important for them to kind of flow naturally as all these baits are flushing. So, you know, we like to fish the big lights coming down on those major shadow lines, but there's these micro shadow lines that can be as simple as like these little red fender markers that still create that little light line break, and fish can use it.
Ross is on!
Get the big motor, big motor, big motor. Go to the left. So we just tossed that jig and paddle up into the light. It's real rough tonight. It's kind of making it difficult to get on these fish. Finally saw one blow up on some bait. Pitched the jig out. I gave it about a 3-second sink. If you want to hit the strobe, when you hit the strobe,
I'm coming right now. Is she already at the side of the boat?
Yep, there goes the hoagie. Decent little fish, maybe about 50 pounds. Fun size at least.
Look at that.
So about a, I don't know. River fish, 45 inches, something like that. They're cute.
Woo, mother's sick. All right, well, see, a couple nights ago, I tore my tendons in my thumb while I was grabbing a tarpon and it went crazy at the boat. So I've got one hand, so we're gonna switch off real quick and let
I'll later this.
Ross take care of this fish.
There you go. Barbarian jig is just right through the button. Everybody talks about landing ratios with tarpon and how it can be real difficult, especially with the weighted jig head. This is a 2-ounce jig, and that sickle bend and that VMC hook just really hooks and holds. You can see it's even loosened up a little bit, but it held through all those jumps, even almost leaping into the boat. This little fish here.
I see the color you're talking about.
You can see that gold river coloration to it.
For sure.
You get those ocean fish, they're almost a blue silver. Still got a little spunk in her. And say thank you, Mr. Tarpon. Because that's why we come out here, my friend.
Nice, Ross.
I love it.
Nice,
I love it. So you've been hearing about it tonight. We're primarily jigging along these bridge pilings, working the mid and lower water column. Using the Barbarian jig that's offered by Hoagie. That features that VMC Barbarian sickle hook. That bend is what we've all been talking about for that retention of the tarpon when they're jumping around. That right there will lock into the jaw, and that long, surgically sharp point will penetrate through the bone, hold the fish right here. And you know, we got a 2-ounce lead here. I'm rigging that on the new HDUV paddle tails. As you can see, they've got a wider nose than the regular jigging paddle. I believe that's a better advantage at night because it's pushing more water, kind of giving it a bigger profile as it pushes through the water. These large oversized paddles are great for getting their attention down there. You swing it in the current, they're kicking, they're moving a lot. Kind of getting the whole bait to shake and shimmer. We've got these glitter flake in here, which is, we're fishing the edges of light, so that little bit is going to kind of pick up and shimmer down there. When I attach to my line, I do an overhand loop knot. Just throw a simple overhand loop. Come back through your overhand loop. Size down your knot. Do about 6 wraps up. Moisten. Come back through your overhand. I like to leave a longer tail end on that. Those loop knots do pull a little bit, so that just gives you a little extra distance for it to cinch down if you get a hard biting fish. But what that does is allow the jig to free swing. It will increase your hookup ratio. You'll get more bites with that bait swimming freely. Yeah, just wait till it knows it's hooked. Okay, put some wood to her. It's a big snook.
Come on. Well, oh, it is a nice snook. I was listening, I was practicing what Ross was teaching.
It's a nice little overslot fish there.
Beautiful.
See that Barbarian jig right through the jawbone. There she goes.
I was playing exactly what you just described, and I got my bite right there.
It's important to choose the right rod when targeting these fish. You want something that has a lot of backbone, but a sensitive enough tip to allow you to feel that jig as it bounces across the bottom. Matt Sewell of Sewell Custom Rods, based here out of Fort Myers, does an excellent job of making rods just for this purpose. Right here I've got his 8-foot swim bait rod, paired on that Sustain 10,000. It is perfect for throwing the 10-inch original Hogy, the 1 and 2 ounce Barbarian jigs, and the corresponding paddle tails. I like to spool that reel up with 50-pound Power Pro braid. I'm using the Slick and the Aqua Blue. And I just tie on an 80-pound leader. The knots that you use for these fish are just as important as the bait, time, and tide, because without proper knots, you're gonna have a hard time landing these fish. In my braided line, I tie a spider hitch that doubles my braid, and to that I'll tie a worm knot. That's a really high breaking strength knot that goes to my 80-pound mono leader all the way down to my Hogy, where again I'm using that offshore loop knot. I leave a long tag end on there just to prevent any slippage. And of course I've got our Barbarian jig and the paddle tail here. It's really just that simple. It's really about finding the right time of the tide and spending the time out here to get on those fish. I was bouncing the edge of this red light on the bottom, trying for a snook. Real heavy cover here. She is deep in there, buddy. Go back up to her. Else I ain't gonna. So I was bouncing my paddle tail in the dark on the edge of that big light. Okay, go in reverse. Gonna try and drag her out.
You got her?
I'm trying, guys. I'm trying. Damn.
Ross.
Snook are tough. Snook are tough, buddy. So I was bouncing the big paddle tail up there in the dark, swung it in where they should be. You can see how shredded that leader is. We're deep into bridge pilings. We did all we could trying to back out. And she finally gave way. That's 80-pound we're using. Sometimes I'll use 150 just for this reason, but that dumping tide felt like a big fish. Felt like a big fish. That's a bummer, but that's what you get when chasing a big fish on the bridges.
Wow.
So we talk a lot in our articles when I speak to people about color selection at night. I keep it really basic. I always start off with black. It's kind of my go-to color. It creates a really nice silhouette against the surface. That's what the fish are looking up at. They see it as either like a ballyhoo, ladyfish, needlefish, you know, with the smaller baits, a threadfin. It's real noticeable. It's high contrast, which might be counterintuitive to think that black is the most visible at night, but it is. Sometimes black isn't the color that they're looking for. It's not often, but it happens, so I always like to carry a selection. After black, I'll switch to green. I like the Tinker Matte color. I'll fish that hard. If something doesn't happen there, I'll go to bone. That's what I ended up doing tonight. Threw the bone paddle tail on and just hooked up on a big snook. Even throughout the course of the tide, their color preference may change. So it's always good to have some options on the boat. I can never really tell you one exact color that's gonna be perfect because as you see, you know, they're picky. Sometimes you gotta have the right color to make things happen. Get that,
Mother six, look at her go. Wow. Well, hold on, that one gets everything we've been talking about. That fish ate it right at the boat.
You know what, sometimes.
I think she followed your bait up.
Here, now Carter, just kind of let her come out easy. We're gonna drift out,
I'm hardly pulling.
Yeah, just keep the rod bent. This is a good tip for when you're fishing bridges for tarpon. Right now, let them just kind of drift with the tide. Let them relax. You see Carter's got the rod bent. The jig's still held in there real tight. The fish is drifting out and away from structure.
That's great. You know, there's nothing like the night bite. And, you know, it's a totally different experience to be out here at night, casting in the dark, fishing this structure in the dark. It's a lot easier to do during the day, obviously, because you can see everything that much better.
Yeah,
and to come out here and kind of enjoy the same fishing, but under different conditions is just, I love it.
Well, you know, we're just enjoying the joy of tarpon fishing right now, bud. Sweet fish.
Bait in the light too. Did you see the bait?
Yeah, I saw that. Looked like a little skipjack running through. Again, it's on the Barbarian jig. It's a great alternative for fishing soft baits for tarpon. Probably get one more jump here boat side before she's done. Woo! Love it.
You got, I mean, how can you not? I can't get over the color of these fish though.
They're beautiful, that beautiful golden color from the tannins in the water. Got the wind dying off, the bite's starting to turn on, fish are doing what they're supposed to. I have a little juice left in her yet.
Soaking you.
That's all right, buddy. It's the best kind of bath. You can see how the jig just came in right there, corner of the jaw, through both sides of the bone. I mean, it's solid, guys.
I mean, talking about a game fish, the tarpon.
This is the peak of inshore fishing right here. I mean, they're exciting, they're big, they fight, they jump. You can catch them on artificial, which is a nice, challenging way to do it.
You want me to cut that?
No, I can.
Pull it out the other way? Okay.
Look at that. And this is what we come out here to do. Beautiful fish, Carter.
Worth the drive to come see you tonight.
I tell you what, buddy, I'm so glad you made it. And this is important for healthy release on those fish. You want to get your engine going, have them go into the tide, get oxygenated, and you see that she just kicked out. Healthy release.
Ross, pretty impressive. Thanks for sharing that with me tonight.
Yeah, Carter, man. I'm glad you could come out. We got a glimpse of what this fishery can offer. Got a couple nice tarpon in the air, landed a couple nice tarpon. Got several good snook opportunities.
I got a snook.
You did, you definitely got a snook.
I think maybe that's my biggest snook.
Well, I'm glad I could be part of that. Yeah. It's been good, man. I'm glad to fish with the man himself.
It was all about the hoagie.
I tell you what, that's the only bait you need for this type of fishing. You know, whether it be a straight tail, bouncing it quickly, working it back into the structure. We're using these paddle tails to create that extra vibration, get noticed. They work.
You know, it's amazing, that tail right there, and I could feel it just thumping on my rod tip when I'm reeling it, just thump, 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 thump.
You get so honed into that action and that vibration and your rod moving, it's kind of, you have limited sensation when you're out here at night. You don't have much visually, so you really focus on what's going on at the end of your line. Imagine what the fish is seeing, adjust your retrieve, and work for that bite.
It was great, it really was. Like I said, I've been talking to you about this for a couple months, and to finally come share this with you, thank you.
It's been excellent. I hope you guys could check us out and take a look at the new HDUV paddle tail series from Hogy. Got the straight tails. Give us a shout. You can always give us a call or visit us online, and we're happy to answer any questions.